Hi, everybody. Lynn Cox here, clinical hypnotherapist. I've been meaning to hop on. I just want to launch right into it. I'd put a story up. I do follow the Calgary Police Service, and they do announce events and things that happen online. And I'd seen this one, and it basically was a report in my neighborhood, or very actually close to my neighborhood. And it was at about 1:15 in the morning. A woman was waiting at a bus stop, and it says I'm reading it from my phone here. She was approached by an unknown man, and the man was armed with a crowbar, demanded the woman follow him behind a nearby business, and then he physically and sexually assaulted her. A nearby neighbor heard the victim's calls for help and interrupted the assault, which is amazing. And then they go on to share a description of the male: slim white male, approximately 5'11", with short hair, wearing a t-shirt and light blue jeans. Um, you know, I was really mortified when I saw that. Really scary situation. And I said I'd be posting just about, I'm working with women who have managed to escape domestic abuse situations and have also experienced childhood abuse. And, without being there and knowing the detail of what actually happened, just a few things I want to note. I mean, first of all, most violence does happen within the home. Whether it's violence against children or violence against women, it's less likely that there's, random assaults in public. Although in Calgary, and I do believe in Edmonton too, there have been more and more reports of like random acts of violence like this. And as a woman, I study martial arts, and I'm really, I've studied a lot of self defense. And Instagram's not a place, or social media is not a place to be teaching self defense, but there are a few important reminders, and I've talked about this before because I often do videos from the stairs, and I do them in the daytime. I actually never do them at night. And there have been a couple of times where I've been aware of my surroundings and seen men lurking around that made me feel uncomfortable, and I avoided the situation. So just a couple things to remind people about. Like, number one, awareness of what's around you is always important. Even in the middle of the day, I mean, with reports about assaults even happening at C train stations, bus stops, etc., being really aware of your surroundings at all times is just always a good idea. Um, we want to. A lot of people listen to their music or have their noses in their phones, and it's a habit that we all do. I'm guilty of that at times as well too, even though I know better, and I've had that message basically drilled into me over the past 10 years or so in practicing martial arts. But awareness is number one. And also for things like with women walking alone at night, walking, instead of walking on a sidewalk, walking down, if it's not a busy street, it's better if it's a busy street because people are around, and these things are less likely to happen when people are around, or it'd be easier to call for help if you needed so. But if you're walking in a neighborhood and it's not very busy, walking down the middle of the street, your line of sight is just so much more expanded because people can be, in an alleyway or hiding behind cars. Some other good things to do is, if you have a cell phone, have it handy and even be talking to somebody. Like, if you do need to be walking alone, being able to be on the phone with somebody's expecting you. And I'm not blaming this victim at all. This is a horrific situation. But people who are predatory in nature, I'm going to assume this man who attacked her was looking for somebody to attack. Predators look for victims. And even if you're a small person and a woman on your own, there are things you can do to make yourself look like you're aware, posture, looking around, look confident. And then if you do see somebody approaching you, gaining as much distance as possible between you and somebody else is always the best idea. And I talked about this in another video when I was at the stairs and saw a guy that was kind of, I wasn't liking the looks of it. It was making me feel uncomfortable, so I didn't go down the stairs. Don't worry about appearing to be rude. We can be far too polite, and honestly, some people may think, well, if I run across the street or get as much distance as possible, I could offend somebody. That should be the least of your worries. Gaining distance between somebody, of awareness and avoidance are like number one and number two in self-defense. You don't want to ever come across or come into contact with somebody, particularly if they have a weapon on them. So this gentleman, I shouldn't call him a gentleman, this person was carrying a crowbar. Some people carry knives, and the theory that we always go by in martial arts is if somebody has a weapon in hand, typically a knife, they can be extremely dangerous. You want to assume that they know how to use it, and that otherwise they wouldn't be walking around with it. So that's a very dangerous situation to be in, anywhere close to somebody with a weapon on them. So getting distance, being aware, and hopefully just completely avoiding getting as much distance as possible, having your phone handy, not having your earbuds in or your nose down in the phone, looking confident and really using your voice. You can, if you see somebody start to approach you, you can gain distance and you can start to aggressively yell, "Get back, I'm calling the police." You can do those things to sometimes maybe ward off a very unfortunate situation. I won't get too much in the detail, but if you ever do find yourself cornered, then if somebody has a knife or a crowbar, it's a terrible situation to be in. And if somebody tries to attack you with something like that, one of the things that you do is if you can grab a hold of the weapon, don't ever let it go, and just fight as hard as you can if you are unfortunate enough to be in that scenario. Yeah, it's really disappointing and really worrisome to hear that there's more of these random acts of violence. Far more of it does happen, unfortunately, in the home. And the same rules apply for gaining distance, calling out for help. If you are attacked by a weapon and you're cornered and you have nowhere else to go, if you do manage to get a hold of it, just don't let it go. That's the rule of thumb. Hopefully you're never in that situation. And I really was upset when I saw that. I was actually in Banff and I saw it pop up on my Instagram, and I took a picture and sent it to my fiance and was like, wow, this was not that far away from our home. So just to be aware. And it is unfortunate though, but basic laws of physics, it's easier for a larger man to overpower a woman, but there are things that we can do to hopefully avoid and then distance and be safe out there. And that's all I wanted to say about that. And just be aware and take good care of yourself. Bye for now.